Good morning and welcome to Pimlico. It is Black Eyed Susan Day. I am Samantha Perry, joined with Dan Illman. And Dan, this is our first time working together, so it's great to be here.
I'm really excited to be working with you. I love the work you do down at Gulfstream Park. This is a perfect prelude to Preakness 148 here at Pimlico. We've got very pleasant weather, a 14 race card featuring the very talented and unbeaten Feza in the Black Eyed Susan. We've got some great big full fields, 12% industry low takeout on pick five wagers. We're going to score out today.
Yeah, we really are. Those 12% player-friendly pick fives are abundant today, so it's going to be really fun to get into. I'm excited to get into the card with you and hear some of your thoughts. To kick off the card, race number 1, it's a mile and an eighth on the grass, but first, fast track, firm turf course. You can see the beautiful track here. We've got last minute touches being put on everything here, getting ready for the day tomorrow. But today on the forefront, we've got the Black Eyed Susan, which is a huge day for the fillies. And now we'll get into race number 1. And it is a firm turf course here. And this does start an early pick 5, so make sure to get involved in that. We're going to take out the 1 in this spot here and take out the number 14. It's still early in the wagering, Dan, but a very, very early favorite right now on the number 13 Battle of Normandy, and I'll let you take it away with the Show Me Gauge.
And this horse is a deserving favorite.
Yes.
I'm not sure 1 to 2 deserving, but
Yeah.
Shug has done very, very well with these sort of horses. He had a winner here yesterday. He's 7 for the last 22, with horses going second off a layoff between 4 and 6 months. This horse showed ability last year at 2, was graded stakes placed, came off the layoff last time. I thought that horse ran really well, was sort of in and among horses, found a seam, came with a run. Perfect prep for today. Tough outside post position, but there's going to be some pace for him to run at.
Yeah, and he's got kind of a long way until the first turn, which will help. And he's got a running style that I think will kind of fit this outside post, Dan, because it's you've got a lot of time to kind of settle in. And this is a horse, especially with Irad Ortiz aboard, he kind of got a chance to see what was under the hood last time. Now, a little bit to his inside, the number 6 here, Jewel Stone, Mike Maker, in Three Diamond Farms. These are connections you don't want to leave out on a grass race.
Never do. I believe Naomi likes this horse, and this horse is going to be at a price. Jewelstone is a horse that has excellent tactical speed, and if you go back to this one's most recent race at Keeneland, the fractions do not look fast, but if you go back into the chart, anyone that was up close to the pace ended up near the back of the pack. It was a closer's race. Jewelstone might have to deal with a fast pace here today, but I think this is an interesting live long shot.
It is race number 2 here. We're going to kick off the early pick 4. Naomi put a ticket for us together here. We'll take a look at it. She's going too deep in this race. We'll get to it in just a moment. Race number 3, the number 1 up for it for Michael Matz. This is going to be a tough horse here and kind of a tricky post draw, but she's also using the 11 and 12. First time starter for Carrie Bryan and Wesley Ward as well. So some firsters from the outside. That's always an interesting way to go. And in race number 4, the 2 and the 6 for her Interstate Daydream. This horse is going to be very impressive, and I know, Dan, you've got a replay of that. And in race number 5 to end the early pick 4, she's going to go 5, 6, and 7. So we got a Cal Lynch horse, a Wesley Ward horse, and a Christophe Clement horse. $18, super affordable here. And in this race, race number 2, we do have a couple scratches. Take out the 3 Outkissed and the 5 going to the lead here. And Dan, this is a race to me that you want to be in it early.
I agree 100%. Trainer David Jacobson has 2 in here, and he's got the speed.
Yeah.
One of the scratches in here really helps the 7. C's Get Degrees. He's coming down from New York. This is a horse that I believe needs the lead to win.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get the lead, I don't think he can win, but he can get the lead here. I liked his last race. He broke very sharp. He set a pressured pace outside an 8-1 shot that ended up fading back to last, and he still hung in there to finish 3rd. I think Irad's going to get him right to the top in here, and he's very dangerous. And you're going with the other Jacobson. That's going to be a better price, and it's Jacobson off the claim.
Yeah, which is a huge angle to go for. This is something whenever I'm playing at New York, I love to pay attention to. And, you know, what do we really get here? They've tried a couple different things with this horse, but I'm just not completely convinced. We do have a stat here now. This is for David Jacobson. He is 11 for 28, 39% in a win percentage, $2.67 ROI with these types of races here. And I mean, this is just a solid stat for the trainer.
It's a solid stat. The barn has just been on an absolute roll. They do very well with these horses claimed from California, so I think you might be onto something. And I like the fact that this horse had enough speed that they entered him in a mixed breed race 2 starts back.
I love that.
So he'll be close.
Yeah, because people don't know at Los Alamitos they run the 1,000-yard races, which is just a touch over 4 furlongs, and they run quarter horses and thoroughbreds. So you better be close. I always like that as well. Next we'll get zebras in them. Just kidding. Race number 3 here. This is 5 furlongs on the grass, and this could be a tricky one. These are for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward here. Of course, we've got some heavy hitters, and you went to an aforementioned heavy hitter, Carrie Bryan, who is incredible with the steeplechase horses, but ranking a presence in the flat races as well.
Absolutely. I really like the job that this barn does. I like your horses in here, the 1 and the 2, simply because they have experience and good racing experience on turf. This is a fun race because there are a lot of wacky things going on. Lady Wildcat is a horse. She sold for $228,000 as a yearling overseas. She sold for $5,000 in January, but it's Wesley Ward with a first-time starter, so you have to respect. I'm going to make that one beat me. Caroline Christine is very interesting. She was actually entered at Charlestown on the dirt under another trainer's name last month. I believe was listed as a vet scratch. Fascinating that this horse is here now on Black Eyed Susan Day on turf. Sire, Oscar Performance, 20% first turf. This one is a half to high front debut winner, 87 buyer in a turf sprint. I think there's some sneaky pedigree here. Carol Cedeno is a very aggressive rider. Maybe we'll see some speed.
Yeah, and I like the fact that she's not drawn to the complete outside. Yeah, I know the 11 is not a good post, but for a first-time starter, you do not want to take the 12 post in any way, shape, or form.
Unless you've got a tremendous amount of early speed and can clear everybody, so it's a lot of work for the 12 Lady Wildcat, but if anyone can do it, it's Johnny V and Wesley.
Yeah, that's the truth, but it's also a trap that a lot of people fall into, and so you looking for a little bit of a price, that will help as well. Race number 4 here. This is 1.125 miles. This is our first stake race on the card here today, and it's a tough one, and I feel like you kind of have to live or die by Interstate Daydream. We've got a race replay. I'll let you key it off with this horse.
Black Eyed Susan last year, 365 days or so ago, and Interstate Daydream loves the course, loves the distance. She ran very, very well in this race for Brad Cox. She then won the Indiana Oaks, went off form in her final start of the year. I liked her first race back. That was the Azeri. Look at the fillies she was in against that day. Secret Oath and Clairiere. And she was down inside in that race, and Florent wanted to try to get out, couldn't. So she had to ride the rail in the lane. It was a good effort. What bothers me is the last race was kind of dull, but I think she has the speed to go to the front in this race. There's not a lot of speed. I respect the form that Todd Pletcher's number 6 horse has, but I have to think that the 2's best race is better than the 6's.
Exactly, and you're not going to get any type of value on this horse, but deservingly so. I mean, this horse, she's so talented, and third start in a form cycle now. I feel like she's just kind of coming into her own, and this is a horse, Dan, I've had the pleasure of seeing all week, and she looks tremendous. I mean, as do all Brad Cox runners, but this is just a horse that she's nice, and she's so tactical as well. There's just a lot of good things going for her in this spot. Now, the number 6, Falconet, Todd Pletcher, another connection that you just can't ignore, and she's coming off an impressive win.
Coming off an impressive win at this distance, and this is her distance. She is a grinding type, and it's not like she doesn't have tactical speed either. I foresee Interstate Daydream going to the top. I think Falconet's going to be sitting off, and maybe it's a test of stamina to the wire. I have a stat for Todd, 10 for the last 27. 37% with last out winners adding Lasix. Big angle here for Falconet. Maybe we'll have a horse race in the final 3/16.
It would be exciting, and I like the word you use, a big grinding type, because that really is her type of style, and she's one. Irad Ortiz is very aggressive down the lane, and watch out for this one running late, because I can foresee this one maybe presenting an upset here, because even money for sure on Interstate Daydream with this race. Race number 5. This is 5 furlongs on our fast turf course here. We're going to we're going to take out the number 2 in this spot, as well as the number 4 Combat Queen, who was entered for main track only, and the 1A Chickiness. And this is another race that, Dan, I kind of had a little bit of trouble with. I'll let you take it off with the number 7, Roses for Deborah. Christophe Clement coming off of a little bit of a layoff.
Roses for Deborah started her career in sensational fashion, but at Presque Isle Downs over the Tapeta surface there. This will be her first race on turf. It's a big question mark. If you watched her last replay at Presque Isle Downs, she looked like a stakes horse. She sat just off the lead. She turned for home. I know she's supposed to win easily as a heavy favorite. That was a morning breeze the way she won. They tried a very tough allowance race on dirt. I don't think it's that surface for her. I like the Clement has her now. He does well off layoffs. This distance might be a little bit sharp for her off the layoff, but I think the price might be okay because she doesn't have a lot of turf form. Your horse does, and your horse is very fast.
Yeah, she is, and that's going to be her biggest angle. She's got to get out of the gate. We've got a replay of this filly here. Pardon me, sorry. We just have a stat here on the 6, and I'll let you tee off the stat here. Wesley Ward and Johnny Velasquez.
It's not easy to bring horses back from 6 months to a year layoffs. Wesley has no problem. 21 for his last 58, 36% positive ROI with turf sprinters off that kind of break. That's very impressive. I don't think American Starlet will be short off the bench today.
No, there's no way. And the thing about 5 furlong sprints, Dan, and I think you can attest to this as well, sometimes you don't have to be 100% fit. You can you have some margin for error in types of races like this. And again, Wesley Ward, he fires hot, but if there's something you like a little bit more, don't take too short of a price on a horse like this.
I agree, and I really think the pace scenario is going to be key because directly inside American Starlet's the number 5 Above the Limit, and Axel Concepcion is a very promising young apprentice here on the Maryland circuit, and that was a great ride last time out, just blasting out to the front, not really worried about the long stretch at 5.5 for the second wire, and Above the Limit kept going. So can Above the Limit step with American Starlet early? It could be one of the sub-stories of this race.
Yeah, and at least Above the Limit actually has a race already under her belt,
Right,
which will help a lot. And any horse that wins by over 3 lengths sprinting on the grass, you have to consider. And this is a horse that might get overlooked just due to the connections of the 6 in the 7. Race number 6 here. This is an allowance race going 6 furlongs on our fast main track. Scratch the 2 out of this spot here. And this is a race that has some interesting players here. And we do have a jackpot super high 5 in this race here. The carryover of $1,700. So this is a good one to get involved in here. And Dan, this is a race where you could go with Brittany Russell and move on because she's such a huge presence, but I like the fact that you kind of are going for a price here.
Let's be honest, though. Brittany's the horse to beat with the number 1 Royal Whisper. Brittany is winning everything here recently. Royal Whisper's last race, you could argue she was probably best that day.
Yeah.
She missed the break by a couple of lengths. She was 3 wide at the back. She stayed covered up to upper stretch, and then she ran, but the horse that beat her was a gate-to-wire winner that just had so much of a tactical advantage. Now, I'm worried about her breaking from the rail.
Yeah.
If she breaks slowly again, while this is a weaker field in my opinion, she may not be able to overcome it. And Whistle is kind of interesting. It's a bit of a stab play, so to speak, because she's taking on older horses for the first time. But in her last race, she bobbled at the start. She rushed up to set the pace, and she was hanging in there pretty well to finish third. She was only beaten 2 lengths. I think the scratch of the 2 in here allows her to get the lead, and maybe she can do to Royal Whisper what Berzina did to Royal Whisper last time and wire her.
Yeah, exactly. And Whistle, the thing with this filly is she is taking on older horses, though.
Yes.
And yeah, I know we are in May, but sometimes that can be a bit problematic.
I think at this time of the year, it's still a very, very big ask.
Yeah.
Ann Whistle has only had 3 lifetime starts. Maybe if she had 6 or 7 lifetime starts, it was more battle-tested, sure.
Yeah.
Phil Capuano's done a very good job. He just got started on New Year's Day. This horse will be a price. Again, the horse to beat is Royal Whisper. If you want to fool around with exotics, maybe Ann Whistle, simply because of the perceived pace advantage.
Yep, exactly. And these are horses that are going to be up towards the pace very early in the race. Race number 7 here. This is 1.16 miles on our turf course here. Fillies, or 3-year-olds and upward, pardon me, that have never won 2 races. And, this is a race where I went to the far outside, but I do like the one, You Must Chill. Jamie Ness, Jaime Rodriguez. Do you need to say more than that?
You really don't, but You Must Chill last time. It's funny that Jamie Ness, of course, has great stats with just about everything, except horses recently coming off long layoffs. It's something like for his last 27, which is stunning.
Yeah.
I like that he ran You Must Chill in the off-turf race last time out, giving him a prep. He showed brief speed. He tired. I think he gained a lot of fitness. If you go back and watch the replay of his race in the Alphabet Soup, I think it looks better on video than it does on paper. He was steadied at the 3/8. He was in behind horses at the 3/16. He split horses. He rallied down inside. That field produced 3 next out winners. Now he draws inside. If Jamie can get this horse to show the tactical speed he showed on dirt last time, maybe he falls into kind of a pace-tracking, ground-saving trip.
Yeah, and do you kind of prefer a little bit closer here on this turf course at Pimlico?
I think right now I certainly do.
Yep.
I think the turf is firm. I think the turf is beautiful right now. I walked it the other day. It looks great.
It does,
I want to be up close to the pace. I think your horse Encourage is very interesting because this horse had trouble last time.
Exactly. A ton of trouble. And I love the fact that Flavian Pratt jumps aboard. One of my favorite riders to watch in general, but just on the grass, I feel like he can clock these races so well. Yes, I know the 14 post position is not a place you want to be, but I feel like this is a horse that you don't need to be that close for. He can break, take a good position. And Kenny McPeak, he's so sneaky. I have so many tickets that I lose because of forgetting to include Kenny McPeak.
And he's got the race off the layoff. He did have trouble. This pace might heat up because right inside is Tom Hagen. And I am going to kick myself if Tom Hagen wins because I almost put him on top.
Yeah.
Madison Myers does very good work with turf horses, and Tom Hagen blasted them on turf 2 starts back. It was kind of a shame the turf season was ending because he found his stride as a speed horse.
Yeah, he did. And it's funny how when horses are kind of getting older, I mean, this is an 8-year-old who's won over $200,000, how he just kind of found a new gear.
Yeah, he found a new gear, and he just loves it when he gets out to the front, and that pace was fairly legitimate as well. So I want to give him a little bit of a chance in here. We have a stat in here for Tulane, though, don't we? And I think we should put that up for Graham Motion. Graham is one of the great layoff trainers of all time. 11 for the last 27, with horses returning from layoffs of 6 months to a year. That is an unbelievable percentage. It's an unbelievable return on investment. Now, Tulane ran in a marathon race in her last start last year. I like the way she was able to stay close when the leaders attempted to sprint away on the third turn. And I think the turn back in distance isn't going to bother her that much. I think she's a live contender.
Yeah, definitely. And Graham Motion does such great work with his grass runners, of course. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, it will be Rainbow 6 times, so don't go away.
Pop, pop, it's showtime. Showtime. Guess who's back again? Oh, don't believe me, just watch. Hey, 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 oh! Guess who makes me feel alive? I've been locked out of hell. I'ma leave the door open. That's right. We out here tripping and finesse. 'Cause you're amazing. Just the way you are.
Welcome back to Today at the Races here at Pimlico. Samantha Perry joined with Dan Illman. It's Black Eyed Susan Day. There's a lot of bustling going on behind us. Everybody is getting ready for this day today.
Everybody's getting ready for Black Eyed Susan Day. Everybody is certainly getting ready for Preakness Day. Listen, whether you like Mage on top or not tomorrow, you're rooting for him because racing wants stars and Mage has star potential.
Yeah, he really does. It's going to be so exciting, but even more exciting, right now we've got the Rainbow at 6 time, and we've got a carryover of over $10,000. It's a 20-cent minimum, 20% takeout here in this spot. And Callie put a ticket together. She's going to go right off the bat with the single with the number 2 Fort Warren. I think that's probably the way to go in this race. In race number 9, she's going at 3 deep. Train Artemis, I think, is a very interesting one for the Kelly Breen barn that she's got in her ticket. Race 10, she's just going 2 deep, and these are the 2 that I like as well. We've got a race replay of Key of Life for Brad Cox. This is a very nice 3-year-old filly. actually. Race number 11, a little bit more coverage for her in this spot. She's using Breath Away. We've got a replay of. She's using the Chad Brown runners as well. I think it's good that she's including both of them, as well as the number 10 after 8 for Anna Delacroix. In race 12, this is the Pimlico special. I cannot wait for this race. Rattle and Roll she's using, as well as Law Professor. And in race number 13, the Black Eyed Susan, she's using 4 horses. I like all of these. She's got Sacred Wish, she's got Merlaza, and she also has Feza for Bob Baffert. Undefeated filly. I know, Dan, you're excited to watch that one run. It's a solid sequence here in this Rainbow Six. And to kick it off, are you ripping off the Band-Aid right away with Fort Warren as well?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I tried to beat him in the paper, and my horse scratched number 4, Cartographer.
I liked that one as well,
I was very interested in that one. So on paper now, it's kind of a 2-horse race, isn't it, between Fort Warren and Johnny Z from Albany. I scratched into Fort Warren in the daily racing form today. After looking over the race a little bit, though, I'm going to try to maybe upset the apple cart with a price. And it's our good friend Jamie Ness and Jamie Rodriguez again with the 1A Indy Bound, who made his first start off the claim, battled with 2 others along the inside, altered course out, was game for second. The horse that won that day is in razor sharp form. It's going to be a giant ask. Demand a price. Jamie Rodriguez eventually had his choice of the entry. He went off Cloud Music. He's on Indy Bound. I'm assuming that's the preferred one, but it's going to be big because, listen, he's going to have to have them nailed on tight to beat the top 2.
Yeah, he will. And Fort Warren, this is a horse that was previously trained by Bob Baffert, and when he debuted, he got a lot of hype. There was a lot of touting behind him, and after that San Vicente finish, running third, he's now changed barns, and that was a very dull effort. But what I like today is he does get Lasix on for the first time.
He's getting Lasix. He's getting Brittany Russell again, who, as we said, is winning everything. The debut was so sharp and was so good that I was really excited to see him in the San Vicente. And let's be honest, he was not good that day. I know Having a Meltdown, who we'll see tomorrow in the Chick Lang, might be the best 3-year-old dirt sprinter in the country. So, okay, maybe Fort Warren was overmatched. But he was green. He was throwing his head around. He just never looked very comfortable. From the inside today, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a lot sharper. Although Johnny Z from Albany is a quick horse. Your horse, Heldish, has shown a lot of potential at points in his career.
Yeah, he has, and he's just never really broken through, which I'm grudgingly putting him on top, but I do like the fact that Irad lands here. I think he's just such a solid rider, and if Fort Warren just kind of can't get back to that winning way of when he broke his maiden, I just don't feel like you can trust him too much, Dan.
I think that's a fair point. I think he fits very well with these horses. As for Johnny Z from Albany, I think we just have to touch upon him quickly because he was one of the top 2-year-olds in Maryland last year, and he was in against Post Time, who was the top 2-year-old in Maryland last year for Brittany, and he gave that horse a tussle. He might be lone speed, and he's getting Lasix as well.
Yeah, and I feel like as a newly turned 3-year-old, that really helps. Or I'm not newly turned, but you know, your first kind of debut as a 3-year-old, I think that will really play out well for you. Race number 9, the very one, 5 furlongs on our firm turf course here, and this is a very, very good race that you could go so many different directions. You're going to take out the number 7 and 11 in this spot here, and I'm glad we're seeing this race. The number 2, did you see as this mare the only kind of closing speed?
Well, I kind of scratched into her. I was thinking of the Maker horse on the outside, but Train to Artemis to me, and I know you're very familiar with this horse down from Gulfstream Park, is good on synth, is good on turf. I like the win in that allowance race in her first start of the year. She had a perfect trip when she won the Lightning City at Tampa Bay. Her last race, okay, it looks very bad on paper. Some horses just don't take to that Keeneland turf course, and she was in against Twilight Gleaming, who I think won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint a couple of years ago. So nice fit here. I think he can give it this one. She could even get a little bit closer to the pace like she did in the Lightning City.
Yeah, and the thing about this mare is she's a true 5 furlong sprinter. No more, no less. This is her game. She's won 4 races out of 7 tries at this distance. I think that this is a mare that sets out perfect for this. And Paco Lopez, last time he was on her, he won on her. And it was an impressive win.
It was an impressive win, and again, he broke from an inside post that day. He grew up right up close. He has an inside post here. I expect Train to Artemis to just sit off the early lead and maybe get a rail run.
The number 5, Thundering Creed, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't really really make too much of a case for this mare. I'd probably just put her right in the winner's circle by saying that.
Let me tell you something. If there's a pace meltdown, she's going to come running.
Yeah.
She really handled that quirky configuration at Kentucky Downs beautifully
Yeah.
3 starts back, going 6.5. And then the Franklin, look who she finished second to. The wonderful Caravel,
Yep.
who is the best turf sprinter in the country right now.
Yep.
Not interested in the synthetic race last time out. The problem is this is a very sharp 5 furlong. She's got to get out of the gate.
Yeah, and I do like how you're kind of not falling for the trap of her world. This is a filly that every time I see her, she honestly to me is so unassuming, Dan. I was walking behind her coming back from the track yesterday, and she just looks like she could be a kid's pony, but when she steps onto the track, it's like she grows 10 times bigger.
And she's got speed. It's going to be really interesting to see how Wesley plays this. Directly inside is her uncoupled stablemate, the
Yeah.
8-space Spicy Marge, who also has speed.
Yep.
I can't imagine the 2 Ward trainees dueling themselves into defeat.
Yep.
Maybe her world tries to sit a little bit
That's
on
what
the
I'm-
outside.
Yeah, and she kind of seems like she's got a little bit of a rating gear as well, whereas Spicy Marge, she's just
Pure speed.
exactly, which you like from these gals here. Race number 10 on the card. It is 6 furlongs. It is the Grade 3 Miss Preakness, and we've got Key of Life. What a filly.
What a filly, and we're going to watch her most recent performance in the
Yeah.
Grade 2 Beaumont. Now, remember, she was on the pace, and the pace was legitimate, and
Yeah.
this is also a 7 furlong race. It's a little bit far for Key of Life. Key of Life is tired at this point. It looks like she's going to get beat.
Yes.
I love the grit she shows,
Yeah.
and that she refuses to lose even though she's tired. So now she's going to turn back to 6 furlongs. There's one issue. She's got speed. So does the unbeaten horse from New York, Maple Leaf Mel. Do they duel each other into defeat?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? And Maple Leaf Mel, what I like about her is she was so impressive as a 2-year-old, but then she came back as her first start in her 3-year-old career in New York. She ran even better, Dan.
She ran fast. She dominated
Yep.
that race. The connections had to be so pleased off the layoff for her
Oh,
to
yeah.
win so easily. She didn't have to go to the bottom of the tank at all.
Nope.
So she is going to be fresh in this race.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe drawing outside gives Joel Rosario some options. If
Yeah.
Key of Life catches a flyer out of the gate, she can sit just off. My opinion is that maybe they duel.
Yep.
An afternoon tea for Rudy Brissett picks him up late. She is
Okay.
going to have to improve, obviously, off
Yes.
of a maiden win at Keeneland. I liked the way she won at Keeneland that day. She
Yep.
tracked 4 wide all the way around the track. It looked like she was going to win by multiple lengths. She had to really get into a dogfight the last
Yep.
16th of a mile. And I think the fact that she did get into a brawl helps her as she steps up in class.
Yeah, and especially with a filly that she just started in February,
That's
so
right.
kind of a little bit of a later developer than the rest of these fillies like Key of Life and Maple Leaf Mel. But a dogfight is a perfect way to explain it because she traveled further than anybody else in that race.
She certainly did, and I think she has enough speed to stay within range
Yep.
if there is a duel. But boy, Key of Life, Maple Leaf Mill, I'm looking forward to seeing both of them.
Yeah, it really will be fun. And Dan, what do you kind of suggest for people that are playing the pick 5 and the pick 6s in a race like this? Do you take a stand with Key of Life or Maple Leaf Mel? How would you suggest going about
I
it?
think you're either singling one of those two or you're throwing them out and
Yep.
you're trying to play somebody else. I've never liked the idea of you're playing the favorite and now I'm using 2 other horses. I
Yep.
just think that waters down your ticket. If you like Key of Life, if you believe in Key of Life, single Key of Life and take a stand. In this situation for me, I think I'm just going to get the odds on afternoon tea to win.
Yeah, why not?
Right?
Yeah, you'll be a very wealthy man.
Well, I don't know about very, but
You might though. You never know.
after the first 8 races, maybe not.
Yeah, we'll have to wait. We'll have to circle back with you on that one. Race number 11, the Hilltop. Dan, this is my favorite race today, I think. And I know it's Black Eyed Susan Day, but this is a race for 3-year-old fillies on the grass. It's 1 mile on the firm turf course here. This is just such an incredible race. I feel like this group of 3-year-old fillies, grass fillies, is one of the strongest we've had in a while.
They're super talented, and we have a replay, I
Yeah.
believe, for the number 1 breath away. And let me tell you, this kick took
Yeah.
my breath away in the Sanibel Island because she didn't break very well.
No.
She was last on the rail. She's got a lot of work to do. She's got to pick her way through between horses. Now, she gets a hole that you could drive a truck through,
Yep.
but look at her fly home.
Yeah.
This is very impressive.
Yeah, all of us at Gulfstream Park that day were jaws on the floor. A horse like this in her 3rd career start, to have that type of turn of foot that she did, Dan, I mean, it truly is just incredible. And this is something that you can't teach a horse. They have that or they don't, and she's got it.
That being said, she is a one-run closer,
Yep.
and your top pick, the number 8, Up and Down, is more tactical. Maybe Up and Down gets the jump on Breath Away, and Up and Down, her maiden race, she looked like a stakes horse.
She did. And I do love Breath Away here, and I think this is probably Breath Away is probably the likeliest winner. But the thing about Up and Down that I like is she's a carbon copy of her half sister Fluffy Socks. Really, she really is. And Fluffy Socks is very impressive for Chad Brown. Finally got a win at Churchill a couple weeks ago. But I know that Up and Down has to improve a lot off of that maiden victory, but I just think that she's heading the right direction. And like you said, she won like a stake horse.
And Chad really is high on her. I talked to Chad
Yes.
earlier this week,
Yep.
and after that debut, she came down with a bad lung infection,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to take her out of training completely. For her to recover from that, come off the layoff, and win going 2 turns,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that was very, very impressive. I know they're higher on her. You mentioned Fluffy Socks. Lots to like.
Yeah, there is. And I've heard the same thing. I don't really hear the Chad Brown team kind of touting a lot of horses, but Up and Down is certainly one that I think you should look at. And if you want to go against Breath Away, this is a perfect horse to do it. Race number 12, the Pimlico Special. This is a very good race as well. It's a 1.316 on our fast main track here. We're going to take out the number 6, Cook Creek, and I'm all in on Rattle and Roll today.
I'm kind of all in on Rattle and
Yeah.
Roll as well. I think he's going to get a good setup. This pace is going to be honest, and he is as consistent as the day is long. And Kenny McPeak, who you've mentioned, has kept this horse good for a very long time.
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
folks forget he won the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity as a 2-year-old at Keeneland. 3 out of his last 4 races, triple-digit buyer speed figures. And I loved the way in the Ben Ali last time out at Keeneland, he was able to get himself into the race with a mid-race move and then sustained it. Distance, no problem.
Yeah, but most definitely no problem. And we've got a replay here of him as well. And this is in the Ben Ali. And this kick, it's beautiful. Watching this horse, I love watching him.
And again, he was last on the backstretch on the rail. He
Yep.
pulled himself up into the pocket, so he exerted some energy on the backstretch. But once he gets out into the clear, he's just simply better than these horses. And these are okay horses. These are better horses he'll be facing in the Pimlico Special. Most likely, Law Professor is going to be up close to the
Yep.
pace. The horse is in razor sharp form. What worries me a little bit about Law Professor, and I talked about it with Rob Atras earlier this week, is that, boy, he has been pulling hard in his last races. And for him to go 1.316 against Rattle and Roll, he's going to have to chill a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And Manny Franco at least got a chance to kind of see what was under the hood past 2 out of 3 races he's had, so he can kind of rate those gears just a little bit. But Rattle and Roll will be very, very tough in this spot. Race number 13. I hate to say it's our feature because our feature today is pretty
So
much,
many.
yeah, there's so many of them, but it's the Black Eyed Susan, a 1.125 for the fillies here. We're going to scratch the number 2, 5, and 6 out of this race. What remains is a very solid group of fillies we've got here, and let's go ahead and run the replay of Feza, and I'll let you take it away. The undefeated filly for trainer Bob Baffert.
This is her in the Santa Anita Oaks, and she kind of had to make an early move in this race because a horse to her outside forced her hand, and Feza was like, fine, no problem, I'm just going to brush you away. For most of the 3-year-old fillies on dirt in this crop, they've been running slow speed figures. Feza finally popped an 89 buyer speed figure. I believe she's the top 3-year-old dirt filly in the country right now, but now she has to ship and she has to prove it.
Yeah, she does. And this is a filly that's trained beautifully over the track here. I'm sure you've seen the videos. It looks like she should handle this no problem at all. But still, you kind of wonder with that ship, what do you do with the 2 Brad Cox horses? We've got Merlaza, lightly raced, and we've got Comparative, who kind of took a little bit to get things rolling.
Comparative's one of those slow buyer horses I talked about, 71, 75. I think Merlaza has a lot of potential. I think there's a chance that she upsets the big horse in here. She's got a beautiful pedigree, and while she did win going 6 2 starts back, she improved around 2 turns, and that was just a nice win last time out. She always seemed to have those horses right within her range, and she closed into a slow pace to do it.
Yeah, which is always tough, especially for a 3-year-old filly. Sometimes they're still learning. These are still young horses. You never really know what you're going to get here. And the number 8, Bobpool. This is another filly that I think could be sneaky here, Dan.
Yeah, I think she's going to have to maybe rally from a little farther out of it than she has in her recent races, because if you look at her last couple of starts, slow-paced affairs, there's going to be some speed in here early. The only concern about it is how good was that race last time out? Off the turf, only 3 other horses.
Yep, exactly. Our finale on the card on Black-Eyed Susan Day. It's a maiden $45,000 race. It's 5 furlongs on the grass here. And another tough race, S. Muffin for Brittany Russell has been gelded. This is a great move because I watched this horse at Monmouth all last summer, and he's a big guy. If he hits the lead, I think it's see ya.
I think if he runs his usual race, he's probably going to win, but of course he hasn't run since June. He's an interesting story. He ran at Monmouth.
Yep.
He ran fine. He then sold for $37,000 at public auction.
Yep.
He then was listed as a vet scratch at Laurel earlier this year on April the 21st. Now Brittany's dropping him down for 45. That being said, he has the speed and he's going to be tough. I do want to mention the number 1 Great Call, because if you look at the form for the 1 Great Call,
Donuts.
not so good. I have the track at Pimlico on the debut and the track at Laurel as rail bias tracks. He drew outside post positions in both of those races, was involved early and tired. He can't run any worse on turf.
Yep.
And again, Madison Myers does a good job. I think this horse at a big price runs better.
Okay, that's one to definitely include if you don't want to take a S. Muffin who's switching barns and taking a little bit of a layoff. That is our card here on Black-Eyed Susan Day. We've got the lightning round. Dan will give you some of his value plays of the day here. This is just such an incredible card we have here at Pimlico today. Just so excited to get involved and have everybody out here, Dan.
Oh, it's going to be an absolutely great day as weather holds up. It's really pleasant right now, not too hot. And of course, we have Preakness tomorrow. I guess my value play would be afternoon tea in the race against Key of Life and Maple Leaf Mel. And best bet wise, I don't really know. There are so many ways to go. I think Interstate Daydream's the most likely winner, but boy, giving a best bet even money.
Yeah, it's hard, but sometimes you have to take it while you can. There's not a lot of free squares in racing.
Better short price than long face.
Hey, that's completely true. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Dan, thank you so
Pleasure.
much. Best of luck today. Don't forget to get involved in all of these multiple different types of wagers we have today. Pick 4s, pick 5s, low 12% takeout on these pick 5s. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a look at the scratches and changes before the first. Thank you.